Alrighty, good morning, everyone, and welcome in. My name's Hannah. I'll be leading today's Wednesday workshop. Doesn't look like we have any questions just yet, but if you do have any questions, please feel free to pop them into the Q&A. I think we're probably going to have a very light call today just because it is the day before 4th of July. Some people might be traveling, some people might have taken it off, or everyone might be frantically trying to get things set up before they head out for that holiday tomorrow. But if you guys do have questions, definitely feel free to drop them in the Q&A, and we can go over them. I'm gonna make sure you guys can see my screen. I believe you can. Cool. So I actually got a really interesting question yesterday regarding teams and task management with an open to close. And basically what ended up happening is this client wanted to have it that they wanted to be able to have they have the same role as another team member on their team, but when they were going over to their task pipeline, they were seeing all the tasks that had that role on it, the transaction coordinator role on it. And they were like, I just want to see my tasks. I want to see the tasks that are assigned to me on the properties that are assigned to me. How do I set that up? Now, this particular client was on the base plan. So they were on the grow plan. So they were on the grow plan here. And I'm going to go ahead and subscribe to the grow plan because what I want you guys to see is I want you guys to see a difference between when you're on the grow plan versus pro and scale. Because there is a difference for the task pipeline, right? So if I go to grow and I, resubscribe to grow, it's going to update my account. So it's removing permissions. It's going through and saying, okay, well, you only get access to, this amount of intake forms. You only get access to this amount of smart blocks. And now when I go back over to my task pipeline, I want you guys to see that here, when it comes to the sorting for this view, it's different than what it was before, right? Now I can choose the team. Once I choose the team, then I can choose the team member. But just because I can choose the team and the team member doesn't mean that I'm going to only see the tasks that are, or the properties that are assigned to that team member. I'm going to see any tasks within the system that has that same role that's assigned to community team member as all the other people on that team. So if I go over to organization and users, and I go over and I click on Hannah's transactions, and let's say all of these here, these particular roles, I'm going to go ahead and click on content team, and I'm going to go ahead and add transaction coordinator on them as well. So if there's some tasks that, or properties that are assigned to content team, and some of those tasks have the role transaction coordinator, those tasks that are marked as transaction coordinator are going to show up for content team, and they're going to show up for me. So what they wanted to see is they wanted to specifically only see themselves. They're like, how do I get this so I only see myself? I only want to see myself when it comes to my task templates. How do I set that up? What I usually suggest, if you're on the grow plan, I suggest having 2 individual teams or multiple individual teams for each one of your users, right? Now you can always add each other on the same team, right? So if I go to Hannah's transactions, let's pretend community team member is actually Hannah. All these other people on my team, I need them to see the transactions that I'm working on, but they don't need to have roles because I don't want them to check off anything. I just want them to be there. And if I need to assign tasks to them, I want to be able to have that opportunity too. So the idea is you're going to create a team. You're going to have yourself on it. All of the transactions that are assigned to you are going to go to your team. And you're going to make sure that you have the roles that are assigned to those tasks assigned to you. And they're not assigned to anyone else on that team. That way, when you go to look at your task pipeline and you sort it by the team and the users, you see all of the tasks that are assigned to you because you have those roles assigned to you. The second part of setting this up, if you guys haven't set this up and you're like, I do want to set this up, I want to set it up so that I only see my stuff, is that we're going to want to remove you or them from the previous original team. So if we pretend that Emily's team was the original team here, okay, community team members on there, and they have all of my properties assigned to them on here, and I need them to be assigned to me. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to delete that team member from this property or from this team. And we're going to want to reassign all of those transactions that are assigned to that particular team member to the new team. So all I'm doing is saying, hey, everything that was assigned to Hannah on Emily's team needs to be assigned to Hannah on Hannah's team. So here I'm going to set that up. I'm just going to choose Hannah, and I'm going to choose that person, and I'm going to say delete. So that way we remove her. So we've transferred all of those transactions that were on that original team member now onto that new team, onto that team member on here. And then Hannah still needs access to see Emily's transactions. She still needs to be on there just in case, right? We can always add that person back. So keep that in mind when it comes to team management. You can always remove someone and update all of their transactions, move it to a different person, move it to the same person on a different team. And then when you go back to that original team, like Emily's transaction, you can always add that team member back on there. That way they still have access to those transactions, but they're now no longer, they now no longer have properties underneath this team. I know that might have been a little confusing for some of you, so let me know if you guys need any clarification on that. But it was something that I ran into and I was like, oh my gosh, this is a great tool that I should show people that are on the Grow team. Again, this is for people who are on that Grow plan. If you're on the Pro plan, the strategy is going to be slightly different because the way that you can organize that task pipeline is different. Grow or Pro and Scale have more options when it comes to task pipeline viewing. So now I've upgraded myself to the Pro plan. I'm going to exit out of my billing. I'm going to click on my task pipeline again. I'm going to go ahead and remove these team members. And the moment that you see that I remove these team members, we now have this user option. So if you're on the Pro plan, the way that you organize your teams can be more towards the traditional way where you have one team and all of your team members belong on there. Because if we sort based off of the user, if I say, I just specifically want to see all the transactions that are assigned to community team, I don't care about what team they're on. I don't care about whatever else. I just want to see the transactions assigned to them. Here, we can sort by the user, and that's going to allow us to just see the ones assigned to them. So I just kind of wanted to show you guys that, so that way you guys could kind of see the difference between the plans. The other thing with the task pipeline when it comes to the plans is that you've got more filters, right? There's a lot more filters here when it comes to the Pro plan. I believe on the Grow plan, you only have these two options here, the task attributes, priorities, and trigger buttons. On the Pro plan, you get options to see assigned to and property options. Now on the Scale plan, just going back over to my plan and billing, I'm going to upgrade myself again. On the Scale plan, we've got even more filters, right? So each time you upgrade, you're getting more of those options to do more filters to be able to see more things or create more custom views within your open to close account. And the reason or the intent behind this is because the Scale plan's that fully like that full package plan. So if I click on this again, now I've got task conditions, right? We didn't need task conditions on the Pro plan. Task conditions are not a thing, or task conditions are not available on the Pro plan. They're specifically available on that Scale plan. So now if I needed to see my task conditions, I could also filter to see the task conditions. Thought it was something cool to kind of run with you guys. We do get quite a number of questions regarding like, what's the difference between the plans? What can I see kind of thing? That's one of the differences is the task pipeline, and the view for that is different based off of which plan you're on. So I like to kind of share that just in case you guys are like, you know what, being able to sort by that user, that actually sounds like something that I would really like to use. What else is on that Pro plan? What I usually suggest is if you guys ever run into those questions, you're like, I think I want to use this feature. What else is there? Definitely feel free to reach out to us. You can always send us an email, or you can chat with us. Or if you're really interested right now and you want to see some differences, feel free to drop that question in the Q&A. I don't mind going over those on Wednesday workshops as well. I don't mind going through and kind of talking about the different plans. Doesn't look like we have any questions just yet. Again, like I said, feel free to drop them into the Q&A and we can go over them. Over the next couple weeks, just want to kind of announce it to you guys and anyone else who watches back this recording. I am going to be going through and I'm going to be getting different commission templates and building them out in my system. That way you guys can have a better understanding of how commission templates work. I think it's a tool that was used and or was created, and it hasn't really been touched on too much. And it's a really, really fantastic tool. I learned a really, really awesome way to have it that the fields that are going to be calculated under your commission template get back into your commission details. Some of the calculation for it obviously required me to add in more fields, right? I needed a couple more fields just for calculations, but we do have the ability to take anything that you're calculating in your commission reports and feed those particular, you know, the values, so transaction fee, I can feed this value back into a field over here, right? So there's a couple ways that I can do that. It's just a matter of going to transaction file fee, clicking on this arrow button here. It's going to allow me to open up that view. And then here I can sync the calculation. I can say like, okay, well, which field do I want this to sync with? And I think I have a transaction fee. Here we go, transaction fee. Now that I've selected it, if we look over here, transaction file fee, 350, transaction file fee, 350. So you can kind of see how those numbers relate. So there's a lot of ways that we can make it so that the numbers that we have in here go back to here. So just want to kind of clue you guys into that. So if you guys have commission templates, you guys are going through, you're building out your commissions, or you would like to build out your commission templates with an open and close, absolutely feel free to send us a copy. You can just send a message and say, hey, Hannah, can you build out my commission template? And then send me an example of it. You can send me over fake numbers, or you can send me over most common numbers that you guys run with, whatever makes the most sense. And then that way I can give you guys kind of a step-by-step on how to build out that commission template and start using it. Start seeing how that works to be able to pull in those data points. I wouldn't necessarily use the printout, right? The CDA for this, right? Just because sometimes when we're doing calculations, the look of it might be a little confusing, but it is really, really good to be able to pull it into the fields so that way, if you wanted to share a one sheet with all the fields regarding commissions, you can pull a one sheet for it, or you can pull these values into another commission report if you need to. So just some tips there. Still no questions. I'm going to go ahead and look over our FAQs. Looks like our first FAQ was, can I download all files in my property in bulk? How do I do that? How do I get that in there? Can I do it? You absolutely can download all the properties from open to close if you need to. You can also download filtered views from open to close. So we're going to head down to that little properties icon. Once we're in there, here we're going to have our table. Currently, I have 41 properties. I can select all, and that's going to allow me to select all of them. I can scroll to the side. And again, some of you guys might have this filter collapsed. So if you go on here, you select all, and you're like, I don't see the filter that Hannah's talking about. Look for this arrow here and click on it. It's going to allow you to expand that view. You're going to scroll to the bottom and you can export to CSV. If you do not have the option to export to CSV and you're using someone else's table, you may not have the option to export that CSV. So what I mean is that some people will be a table will be shared with them. I'm going to go ahead and click on table users. A table will be shared with them, but they don't have permission to export. So you can see here, content team has access to the segments and they have access to this table, but I don't want them to edit the table or the segments, and I don't want them to be able to export. So keep that in mind. If you're trying to pull out, you know, lists of your properties or different views, and you're like, why the export CSV is not there for me and I don't see it, double check with your whoever is the owner of your account just to make sure that you do have permission to export. All they need to do is enable this, and now content team member, they're going to be able to have the opportunity to export those properties if they need to. Cool. Ah, okay. We got another one. I already sent an invite for my client portal, but they're not able to register. So whenever we have something like that, it might mean that they already have a client portal with open to close. The best way for them to check whether they have a client portal with open to close is have them figure out, you know, if you sent it to a specific email. So here, justin@gmail.com. If you sent that client portal to this particular email and your client reaches back out and they go, hey, I didn't get an email to register. What's going on with that? Like, how can I get that set up? They most likely already have an account. So what you would want to advise your client to do is to take their email. I'm just going to copy it here. They're going to go to the same place that you guys go to log in for open and close. You're going to go to that login page, right? So from our home page, they're going to click on login to log in. They're going to click on forgot password. They're going to pop in their email. They're just going to pop in that email, and then they're going to say send password reset. The email should go to their inbox that's associated with this email here. It should go to their inbox to reset their password. It also might go to spam, just because sometimes that happens, right? Whenever we send out that forgot password, We see it with systems like Netflix. Sometimes will go to my spam, or it'll go to my socials, or it'll go to, a different folder in it. So definitely have them search for open to close and see if they can find that. But they're most likely already a client. You can always double check with us by reaching out, right? You can send us an email and go, hey, I sent this over. I sent an invite to my client. They're not able to access open to close. Do you mind checking to see if they have a client portal account? We can take their email and we can take a look at our database and we can see if they have an email with us, if they've already tried to reset it and it doesn't work. Other than that, there's, we'll kind of like tackle it from there. If you guys still like, no, they don't have an account with us yet. This is the email. It's the correct email. What's going on? We can kind of take it from there and see if there's something else going on. Cool. Oh, this is an interesting FAQ that we got. Why are my subtasks disappearing in the task list? So cool thing about subtasks, if you guys haven't already taken a look at it, we're going to go over to our hammer icon. We're going to head into our templates. We're going to go into our task templates. And I'm just going to open up our listing task templates. This first task that we have here says send opening emails. This is a task. And I say this is a task because this task has the ability, it was created by, add task, and you created the task this way. It's a new task. Subtasks live within that task. So if I click on this little drop-down arrow, we can also see subtasks right here, but I like to expand the task. Our subtasks are going to be, think of it as like a mini checklist. It can be a long checklist if you needed to, but think of it as like a mini checklist that's on that task. So here, this one says send opening emails. If I was on the grow plan, I might want to use my subtasks to make sure that I have the specific party members on that. So if I'm sending my open house email, maybe I need to send it to ensure other agents or co-agent, let's say that, is on property, right? That could be a subtask. And if you have an open house agent, ensure open house agent is on property, right? So these are two examples of subtasks. They don't need to be separate tasks because there's something that's going to be done when you guys send out that opening email. But you can say, I need these two tasks here, and I need them to be checked off before I can check off this task to send out the email. So the idea is think of this as like a list of instructions that live within that little task. These subtasks will never show up in a task pipeline. They will not show up in a list of tasks on the property. They specifically live on that task. So if we go to a property now, I'm going to see if I can grab one that's empty. This one's empty. It's not. Let's delete this task template. We go to a property and we apply that task template, my listing one, right? I think it was. Listing, apply, yes. When we go to a property and we look at that listing task template, I'm going to scroll down. Here's that send opening emails. You can see here that it says 0 out of 2 for our subtasks. So 0 out of 2 have been checked off. If I try to check off this task, it's going to tell me, hey, you haven't completed the subtasks yet. So this is kind of a way to like have your TCs or have your VAs, whoever's working in your system, whoever's checking off tasks, it kind of gives them that step to pause. Oh, wait a second. Why isn't it going off? Oh, my subtasks aren't complete. Oh, what's my subtasks? Oh, okay, cool. Let me make sure that these party members are on here so that when I check off this task, if I have the email going out automatically, right? Because if it's a task, we can have this trigger go out automatically. We don't even have to think about it. We can say send trigger automatically. I check off the task, go out automatically. If we have it set up like this, you'll have made sure already that you have those two party members on this particular property so that the open house agent gets that email and they know when they need to go to the open house, and the co-agent gets it so that if they need to, be informed to come to the open house, hopefully, they also see that information as well. Cool. It's actually a really good question. I don't see a lot of people using subtasks. I think it's a really great tool for those of you who are on the grow plan who want something like form conditions, but don't necessarily need to be on the scale plan just yet, right? Most of our users, they end up finding themselves eventually gravitating towards that scale plan because they're looking for more automation. They're looking for, well, instead of me having a task template where I check off tasks, I want to be able to update the fields or the contacts or the files. And then I want to be able to send out, an email kind of thing. I've also seen an increase recently of clients who are signing up for open to close and they're signing up for the scale plan right away. I think that's fantastic. A lot of you guys can definitely jump into the scale plan right away. What I would suggest is I would still suggest starting out checking out the task templates. And the reason I say this is because you want to be able to have a good feel for the different types of conditions that you need to use for those triggers. You can definitely jump right into triggers if you're like, no, I actually get it. I understand how the triggers work. And I know that when I fill out, and I'm just going to go to a property, when I add in details regarding my EDM, when I say that the receipt has been received, I have this status. I know that when I say that it's not received, I want an email to come up. Then okay, cool, I want a property trigger, right? And then when I say that the receipt has been received, then I want a different property trigger to come up. And I want it to be able to send out to those party members and saying, hey, thanks for sending over the EDM receipt. We got it. We're sending it over to our next party members. Whatever that ends up looking like for you guys, or whatever kind of emails you need. This can be kind of a solution for you guys. But the main reason I say still check out using task templates is because when you first get started with open to close, there is so much that you can do within this system. And having a task template that's even just a guideline. Don't forget, inspections are coming up. This is when HOA docs are due. Our lead-based paint addendum is due on this date. Just having those little milestones in your task template is going to be so much, it's going to be more helpful than you going, okay, let me look through my fields and figure out which fields I need to update, or let me look on my timeline and see, okay, what date is it and how can I relate this date here to the fields that I need to update to then get that trigger, right? So when you're first getting started with it, you're a brand new user and you're not quite yet used to filling out your fields the way that a long-term user would be, or even someone who's been on the system for a couple months, right? If you've been on the system for longer than 3 months, you should be very familiar with your fields at that point, right? Because you should be filling these out to make sure that they're getting pulled into your email templates, to make sure that conditional logic for your smart blocks are firing off, make sure all of that is working the way that it needs to. Once you start to get used to that, that's when you can start to figure out, okay, which tasks can I start to cut down on and start making more transitions towards our triggers and using this, because now I don't necessarily need a task that says confirm earnest money deposit received and uploaded. I know that by this stage, I have updated this status. And so that email is going to trigger to go out to send out to those party members. Cool. Let me know if you guys have any questions on that, because I know that that's like one thing that I've seen a lot of is like some people are making that conversion. They're like, I'm ready for scale. Let's go. I want all of the permission. You don't have to use property triggers right away though on scale. There's a lot of other features that you might want to use when you're on scale. You might be on this, you might be like, oh, I signed up for the scale plan, Yana, because I love the messaging tool. I'm not quite yet ready for property triggers. I still want to use my task templates, but that messaging tool has saved me so much time because it's such a fast way to communicate with my internal team members who are using open to close and communicate with my agents who are also using open to close. So that's another tool that is worth the cost, in my opinion, because then all the communication is in one place. It lives within open to close. It either lives on that property, and I'm going to go back to that property that I was just on, underneath the messaging tool here, right? Lives underneath here, sent in red. Or if they're just general messages to each other, they live underneath here, sent in red. So it just kind of depends. The other thing that I see people utilizing a lot for people who are on the scale plan are webhooks, right? That's another thing too. Webhooks, pulling data out of open to close and being able to do so. Webhooks is super helpful for that. Now you can be on the pro plan and use webhooks. So keep that in mind. You don't have to be on the scale plan to use webhooks. You can be on the pro plan to use webhooks. But I see a lot of people who are on the scale plan using webhooks as well to get their data out of open to close. There are a couple new features that are coming out that are going to be really, really amazing and fun and fantastic for those of you who are on the scale plan. I'm sure that we're going to be doing some betas for those. So if you guys are on the scale plan, you're one of our top users, definitely feel free to reach out and see what those are. Otherwise, we'll probably end up reaching out to you and going, hey, this cool thing's coming. You want to take a look at it? Especially if you're someone who's been pretty active in our community, we'll want to get your feedback on it. The other thing that's kind of great about ScalePlan is obviously the commission templates, being able to create unlimited commission templates. And that's another reason why I want to start doing like weekly trainings on like, how do I build out this commission template in my account? And I think Wednesday workshop's a great place for that, so that you guys can join and be like, cool, I sent over my commission template to Hannah. She's going to show us how to build it right here live on this call, kind of thing. Awesome. Let me see if I have any other ones. Okay. Looks like the only other FAQ that I got is just about one sheets. When we're talking about setting up our one sheets, I'm just going to go over to our hammer icon, into our templates, into our one sheet. Obviously, there's a ton of different ways that you can do one sheets, but if you're just using it in the traditional way where you're sending out just information to someone and you want to make sure that people are receiving the email, remember, if you send it out from open to close, based off of what I'm reading for our FAQ, I believe that when you send out that email, it's going to go into your sent box. So if you need a copy of it, you need to see what's on that one sheet. It is going to go into your sent box, but if you need to send it to yourself, just make sure that you have your contact role selected here. So if you're and I'm going to go down because I think it's at the bottom. Oh, no, it's up higher. Where are you? Transaction. Oh, you know what? Buyer's transaction coordinator. Let's go ahead and say it's that one. Buyer's transaction coordinator, right? If you're on that email, we'll just want to make sure to CC you. You can also BCC yourself. And if you BCC yourself, not only is it going to be in your sent, but it is also going to be in your received, right? It'll be in your received emails as well. So keep that in mind. If you need to get a copy of that, you need to see it in your email inbox, and make sure that you're a recipient on that particular one sheet. Cool. Alrighty, I know that we've had some updates to the change log as of June 15th, so I definitely want you guys to take a look at that. To access your change log, you're going to go over to your little person icon and then click on change log. And then here you'll see the most recent updates that we've had. Looks like we made some updates to some areas that people were seeing some fuzziness with. Usually these are for bug fixes, but it can also be for like features that we've kind of like updated or improved. So this is a great place to come in here and kind of learn a little bit more about, what has been improved or what bugs have been cleared. Obviously, if you've reached out, you reported the bug to us, then we've probably already sent you an email and said, hey, this has been resolved. Check it out in your account. But this is a great place to look if you're like, did that get resolved? Let me just go double check. Let me see. When's the last time we did a change log? When's the last time we did a open to close, release some changes to open to close? Cool. All right, still no questions. I know that it is just before the holiday weekend. I don't have anything else planned other than what I already discussed with you guys. If you guys do have any other questions, definitely feel free to drop them into the Q&A. It doesn't have to be questions like, how do I do this? Or how do I do this? You could even ask something as simple as like, how does this tool work? How do I set this up? Or what does this look like? Or if you want to share any of your wins with us too, that would be great as well. If you guys have noticed, like, I switched and I started using automatic task triggers and it's really working for me. Is there any way that I could set it up for this, this, and this? Or maybe you guys have questions about like, oh, how do I set up like my smart blocks? Or how do I set up a smart block contact loop? I think that most of you guys, when you sign up for the pre-built account, that you get smart blocks and you get those contact loops. But I've seen some really, really unique ones where people are building out more contact loops with it. So if you guys have any questions like that, definitely feel free to pose them now. If not, oh, looks like we do have a question. Yay. Cool. How to synchronize the forms I have in DocuSign and have it in open to close. How do I do that? By forms, I mean templates. I have a lot of templates in my DocuSign. How do I put that in OTC? So the DocuSign integration is a unique integration. It works a little different from our other integrations, right? It's not the same as SkySlope or Dotloop or Brokerman. If I go to Dotloop right now, here for Dotloop, that integration, I have the ability to import details, import contacts import documents, or open in dotloop, right? When we talk about that DocuSign integration, the way that it works, let me see if I think I have it set up. The way that the DocuSign integration works is that you can take documents from open to close and populate the envelope and push that over into DocuSign. So it's not necessarily a two-way integration where you're able to pull in documents from DocuSign that already live there and pull them into open to close. But instead, it's more of if you have a document, you need a signature on it, you use DocuSign, you can send that document through the integration to DocuSign. And then once you send that over to DocuSign, you open up DocuSign, you finalize setting up where you want your signatures, and then you send it out. Now, when you send it out from open to close for signatures, you have the ability to CC the property. And what that will do is it'll allow you to pull that document back into open to close once it's been signed. So there's not necessarily a way to bring in templates, right? We can't go over to documents and import templates from DocuSign. The main way that DocuSign's used is by pushing documents out of open to close to DocuSign to get signatures. Once they've been pushed out of open to close to get signatures, they can come back into open to close. So that's one thing to keep in mind with it. I don't know if we have any plans to improve that DocuSign integration or see about using it like we have Dotloop or SkySlope or Brokerment set up. I don't believe that. I mean, from my understanding right now, the main focus that we have in development is setting up something that I can't talk about because it's a cool secret and it's not ready yet. And the other one is the mobile app. That's our primary focus right now. So I don't think that we're going to have an upgrade to that extent, what you're asking for to that DocuSign integration. Now, if you need to get documents into open to close from anywhere, it doesn't have to be DocuSign. This can be from anywhere, from an email inbox, whatever. I suggest using the property email address. This property email address is so fantastic to quickly get documents into open to close. Instead of having to download them and then upload them into open to close or email them to yourself and then head over to your emails and go into your emails and grab the documents and import them to the property, right? That's a lot of steps. Property email address, you just send them an email. That's it. Then I believe you can send out emails from DocuSign, if I'm correct. So if the documents are native to DocuSign and you need to get them into open to close, come into open to close, go to that property, grab that address, and then go into DocuSign and email yourself those documents. Use this email, send it to it. It will come into open to close. They come into open to close as unapproved documents. Let me see if I have an example. Cool, I have an example of one. Let me go to this property. An unapproved document looks like this. So it'll come in. You'll have the ability to click on it if you need to review this particular document. If you need to split it, you can split the document. Let's say it's like a couple pages. This one's only one page, unfortunately, so I can't really show the split tool very well. But if you need to split it up and you need to break it down into different, like smaller bite-sized versions of those forms, you can split them. And then usually what I say is after you're done splitting it, if you already have the placeholder that lives here, right? So if you already have the placeholder listing documents, these are all placeholders, then go ahead and feel free to grab that placeholder. So you can click on File Placeholder. We can scroll down and we can pop it into that listing agreement F8. And then we don't have to worry about it because the parent has a file role. If we scroll down, that listing agreement FE already has that fire icon associated with it. So all we need to do is say the file placeholder and say approve, and then it'll file itself away down here. If you don't have your file roles associated, you might need to select both. You might need to click on the placeholder and set that file role to make sure that that file gets assigned. Cool. Let me know if that makes sense. I know that, we'd love to be able to have a little bit more with that DocuSign integration, but that's just what we have right now. That's what was available to us when we went and built it out. Cool. Any other questions from you guys? Anything else that we want to see in the system? Awesome. Well, I can give you guys back. Oh, never mind. Got one. Can I synchronize the documents that are already in DocuSign to my open to close, or it's not possible? It is not possible to pull your documents into open to close from that DocuSign integration. The only option you have for that DocuSign integration is to push documents out of open to close to create that envelope. That is the option you have. If you go over to that DocuSign integration on a property, you'll only have the option to push out envelopes. To be clear.
Really quick, there's a way,
Yeah.
if the DocuSign, if the envelope is already out for signatures, you can reopen the document that's out for signatures and add a signer, and you can have that as they receive a copy and it's emailed directly to the property address, and that's how you can bring it back in if the document's already in DocuSign.
But that would be in DocuSign. That would be,
Yeah,
you would be going into exactly, yeah. So you'd be going into DocuSign, you'd grab that property email address, like I said, and you'd be doing that in DocuSign. There is not a way to be in open to close and pull in the documents.
And then pull it. No, not like
right.
Dotloop.
Yeah. Not like .loop, not like, so yeah, exactly like what I said. You can grab that property email address, you can go ahead and forward it over, but you can't go to, DocuSign and this is it. This is where it stops, unfortunately. But yeah, exactly like what Kelly said. If you already have the envelopes built out, you can grab that property email address and you can add it there. But if you do not, yeah, that's where you're at with it. Cool. Maybe one day we'll have it set up that you can, but right now we don't. I think that there's a lot of things with DocuSign that are not yet built out within open to close, or we're not able to set up with open to close. Cause I've heard a lot of things about like, oh, what about like if I have a room? And I think that rooms kind of live like properties. Correct me if I'm wrong, Kelly. Do you know if rooms are like properties?
Yeah, it's the same idea. It's like there's rooms and I know what you mean by the templates too, because you can build templates in there. And sometimes you can apply the templates once you're already in there, and sometimes you can't. And a lot of it, DocuSign has very many different
tools,
account types,
okay.
profiles. And there's just so much that each account profile can do that's different, and it makes it very hard.
Yeah, so it sounds like that's why we kind of made the decision. Okay, we're gonna at least get the envelopes in here. We're gonna make sure that the envelopes can be built so that you can send out those documents or signatures. Yeah. So I mean, fingers crossed. Hopefully that's something that's further down the pipeline for us to be able to set up. But I feel like it sounds like it would be a big difference in us just trying to figure out which integration makes the most sense, or how to set up that integration, I should say.
Or if DocuSign will even allow it.
That's true too. Yeah. We are limited based off of what these integration partners allow us to do. DocuSign could have said, yeah, you can send things out, but only if you create the envelope. Because even when you create the envelope for DocuSign, you still have to go into DocuSign to finalize it. You know what I mean? So then tell me about the templates. Are the templates usually like blank copies of documents? Or is the templates kind of look like ours? Because I haven't messed around with DocuSign in that way yet.
Yeah, it's the document. You can create a document template and put the signing signatures and initials and everything already in there. But there used to be a way where I was able to create the document. I was able to create the template and then push the document. The document's already in there. Put the template on it. I think once you were in there, but you had to go backwards. Like you had to have open to close, build the envelope, and then I think you had to go back a step to apply the template and then go forward again. And honestly, for me, it got so much, it was easier for me just to go into, at that point, if I was going to do a template, to go into DocuSign and just use the email and have it just come back into open to close than to start it in open to close.
Yeah, just to grab that email address and add on like an additional CC signature kind of thing. Yeah.
This was, I used the DocuSign and the documents a lot in this area out of open to close for that one-off email that I got or something like that just had one that already had multiple signatures or whatever on it, and I couldn't use a template or anything like that on it. Just send those out from open to close.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. I hope that helps. I know we kind of started chatting a little bit more about things that are they're related, but not similarly, like not entirely related. But the gist of it is that within open to close, no. But in DocuSign, if you grab that property email address, you can add that as an additional signer and have them come in that way. Well, I would say this though, I'm hoping that I have this DocuSign account still. Like I'm I'm hoping that I have it. I kind of showed this last time in DocuSign. There's something that you want to make sure is set up. Oh, I still have the login for it. Within DocuSign, one thing that you want to for sure make sure is set up. You're going to go to your settings. It's loading. Cool. Once you're in your settings, you're going to go to sign settings. You're going to scroll to the bottom and you just want to make sure it says deliver self-signed email notifications by PDF. So what this means is that if a document was signed, when you get that notification back, it attaches as a PDF. As long as it's attached as a PDF, it'll come into open and close, right? If it's a link, open to close doesn't know that it needs to click on the link to then download the document. So make sure that it says PDF here and say save. That way you're making sure that that PDF gets pushed back into open to close. I think that's like the main thing that I've seen people be like, absolutely, we want to make sure that that's there. Well, cool. Any other questions? Also, does that make sense, Sunshine? I'm going to take no answer as a positive answer that it does make sense. If you get stuck, no worries. Yeah. If you get stuck at any point or you need to see that, like definitely feel free to reach out. Sounds like Kelly's got a lot of experience with it. So we could probably just like loop Kelly into the ticket and get you guys. Cause I know what you're saying about the whole like push it, create the envelope, apply the template, and then you know what I mean? I know what you mean by that. I could see how that would work, but I could also see how that would be a lot of steps to eventually get that into open and close. I think that setting up your templates in DocuSign and grabbing that property email address, like I said here at the top, that's associated with that envelope, and just making sure they're CC'd on there. So that way, when they get signed, you know, as the documents get signed, they get pushed into open and close. That's probably your easiest solution to get those documents into open and close. At least until we have a conversation to figure out, you know, can we expand more on that DocuSign integration? Awesome. Alrighty, well, we have about 15, 18 minutes left of this training. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to drop them into the Q&A. Otherwise, I'm just going to go over my end of call stuff that I usually go over. So if you guys need help or you have more questions or you're seeing something in your system and you need assistance, definitely feel free to reach out to us either by email at help@openandclose, or you can chat with us directly here. We will have someone covering on 4th of July. So if you guys see anything funny, you need help, you can still reach out on 4th of July. It'll be one person though. So keep in mind that the response times might be lower. Longer. I think I meant to say longer. So the response times might be longer, but always feel free to reach out. If anything crazy happens, which nothing should happen, they'll reach out to us and they'll make sure to loop in leadership and management to it. Other than that, we do have our help center. You can go over to learn and go on to help guides. It's going to open up our help center. If you guys haven't already, I definitely suggest taking a look at the onboarding series. This is our most recent update of articles. They've got videos, they've gotten some written content in there. They're really solid for people who are just getting started or who need a refresh. Some of the information on there I go over, or we go over form conditions a lot for our intake forms. If you guys are looking into those or you're trying to revamp your intake forms, start with that article, right? It'll give you a really good idea of the basis of how those form conditions work or how unique you can get with your form triggers. Other than that, we do have our list of webinars underneath there as well. Wednesday workshop, our getting started, and other webinars are going to be listed under here as well. Once I get that commissions kind of situation set up, I think what I'll do is we'll probably have a commissions webinar underneath here so that you guys can go and you can watch that. I'm going to try to make sure that it's around the same time as these. So 30, 25 minutes, something that's quick and easy to watch instead of like our super long ones that we usually have. If you guys are looking for onboarding, we do have onboarding options. You can always go to onboarding to check it out. Do it yourself. This is like if you want to free set up your system, that means you can use support to help you out. You can use me to help you out, post on our community pages like Facebook and such. Do it hourly. This is really great for anyone who's looking to update or improve a specific area of their system. You're already an existing user. You need help with like, hey, I want to make this intake form even better. How do I do so? Do it hourly is a great option for you guys if you guys are looking for like consistent calls with our implementation team. And do it with you is great for those who are brand new users who are coming on and they're like, I want a custom account. How do I get this? This is where you can get those custom accounts for the Grow and Pro plans. For Scale Plan, there is a custom quote because Scale Plan has a lot to it. We need to make sure that we map out exactly what we're able to do for you. If you guys are interested in those, you can definitely say set a time here and schedule a conversation to talk with our team about it. Other than that, I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. Make sure to stay hydrated. If you guys have pets, obviously you're going to want to play some really loud music tomorrow when the fireworks are going off. I know that my cats are probably not going to be very happy about the fireworks, but we get through it. We usually put on what do we put on? We usually put on videos for cats, and it's usually the birds chirping and running at the TV. Unfortunately, my cats kind of attack the TV, so that's one thing to keep in mind if you end up using that. Just FYI. Other than that, make sure you're drinking water, do a stretch. I will hopefully see you guys next Wednesday. Have a wonderful 4th of July, and I will talk with you later.